NFS Unbound desperately needs an anti-cheat because cheaters and hackers are running rampant and completely ruining the experience for other players. First off, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone watching. I wish you guys nothing but the best for 2025 and I hope you reach all your goals that you set out to achieve for the year. I also want to apologise for taking such a long gap in between my last upload. I literally haven't uploaded since last year, almost a month ago now, or basically a month now. And to be completely transparent, I just wasn't in a good headspace, but I'm feeling much better now. I'm much more energised coming into the new year, and I won't be taking a break that long anymore as we're going full steam ahead on the content train for 2025, and we're going to smash these goals together. With that being said, let's get into the video. Now in this video, I won't just be covering cheaters in lockdown, but also in racing too, because I think the cheating has been going on for way too long, and especially with the recent edition of lockdown, there seems to have been a surge in cheaters, and it's just making the whole game mode unfair for everybody. I want to start off talking about the cheaters in lockdown, what kind of cheats they're using, and how it makes it so unfair on other players. So first off, in lockdown we've got the cheaters that use a teleport cheat in order to teleport instantly anywhere around the map. So what they're doing is they're using the lockup guide that you can access online anywhere and teleporting to all these locations as soon as the game starts and until they figure out all the lockup spawns. They can also teleport to the bike as soon as it pops up on the map, giving no one else a chance to get it and giving them a huge advantage over other players that don't already have a bike, especially early game. Once they found the lockup spawns on the car that they want, they just teleport inside the locker without even having to pay and take the car out before anyone else even has a chance to amass the 100k needed to unlock a lockup. And even if it ends up being a Razor announced lockup, it still shows up on the map even though it's already been looted and the car's been taken. So you'll get to the lockup and it'll be empty due to the cheaters getting to it before everyone else. They can then also teleport to the truck as soon as it spawns to extract quickly, which gives other players lower chances of extracting. This is just so unfair and ruins it for other players because it means that even if you do happen to find a blacklist car or a custom car that you like and you want to extract, you won't even be able to extract it because the cheaters are taking the trucks as soon as they pop up. Thankfully though, in the most recent patch, they have increased the truck spawns, so this isn't as much of an issue anymore. Now of course this can easily be avoided by turning off crossplay as the cheaters are on PC, but it's a shame that we have to do that as not all PC players are cheaters and it does reduce the player base that we can play with, but it's the only solution at the moment to avoid running into cheaters. Right, so let's go on to the cheaters that I've seen in my many hours of racing in NFS Unbound, and trust me, there's a lot. So first of all, there's the regular speed hacks, and this is probably the most common cheater you'll come up against, where cheaters will literally program their car to be so much faster than everyone else. These ones are quite usually easy to spot. For example, if we take a look at this clip here, this guy flies way ahead of everyone and then just continues flying further and further ahead. I mean, just look at how quickly he's gaining distance. It's crazy. Thankfully, players that use these speed hacks can be easy to beat because they're usually just bad drivers and they use the speed hacks to compensate for their lack of skill. I mean, if we skip ahead a little bit, you'll be able to see I was able to catch up to him and pass him because he overshot the jump, and even after he got back onto the track, he still couldn't control his car afterwards. So like I said, bad drivers. The second one is a bit more degenerate because it's not just speed hacks, but with this one, cheaters basically have a program driving for them. So they've obviously programmed it to not only be faster than everyone else, but also corner and generally drive with perfection. I wish I had the clip, but I once loaded into a race with one of these cheaters, and on the first corner of the track on rails, which in my opinion is a really annoying corner to deal with, they took the corner absolutely perfectly and didn't even slow down at all on the approach to the corner. That's how I know it was a computer program driving for them. I mean, the way they took the corner was just too perfect. It genuinely looked like it was on rails, excuse the pun. This one's much worse than speed hacks though, in my opinion, because it's genuinely impossible to beat them. At least with cheaters that use regular speed hacks, you can still beat them if they're bad drivers, which a lot of them usually are. It's actually quite sad that people use these programs, because what's the point of buying a racing game just to have a programmed race for you? That's why I think this one is more degenerate and much worse than the regular speed hacks that I talked about previously. This is possibly the worst offender that I talk about in this video. Now the third and final type of cheat that I'm going to talk about isn't a speed hack or anything to do with the performance of the car. It's more to do with overriding the class system so that you can take a fully upgraded 400 plus car into any class. Fortunately, I do actually have a clip of this. So if you take a look here, I was in an S-Class playlist in my Acura NSX, which is no slouch by the way, and this Countach just absolutely took off like a rocket. I thought something was a bit odd, because I know the Countach can be good in S-Class, but not that good to the point where it was blowing everything else away. So at the end of the race, I look at the results and it turns out they had it in S Plus, fully upgraded. As you can see, it's not a bug because the rest of the cars were correctly at 329 at the top of S-Class. So this cheater was somehow able to override the class system and use this fully upgraded Countach at 400 plus in S-Class to dominate the competition. Looking back at the clip, this guy was also using the same program that I was talking about in the previous point. I mean, just take a look at the way this guy's car corners without slowing down. That isn't normal, even if you're driving a max grip build. So this guy was really pulling out all the stops to make the odds in his favour, which is quite sad if I'm being honest. I mean, again, what is the point in having a racing game to just have a computer program do all the work for you? Just completely pointless. Keep in mind that all of the cheating exploits that I've mentioned are only what I myself have experienced. However, I'm sure there's some more that I've been fortunate enough to not experience yet. But if you have, let me know in the comments. Now sadly, just like with lockdown, the only way to avoid these cheaters is to simply turn off crossplay, which is a real shame because the large majority of PC players are good, legit players, and having to turn off crossplay just lessens the player pool that we can play with. But without an anti-cheat in place, there's always going to be a chance that you run into at least one cheater, whether that's while racing or in a lockdown session. I do think a solution would be to have a console only crossplay option so that we can still play with players on other consoles, because at the moment turning off crossplay completely means you can only get into lobbies with players on the same console as you. I do wonder why there was never an anti-cheat in Need for Speed Unbound to begin with. Like, did they not think people would ever cheat? Did they overlook how big of a thing cheating is, even in multiplayer racing games? So many questions, but ultimately, we'll never know why we don't have an anti-cheat in Need for Speed Unbound. But if Criterion are to continue with the live service for this game, then the anti-cheat needs to be implemented. Or if not for Need for Speed Unbound, definitely for the next Need for Speed title. So, what kind of cheats have you guys experienced, both in lockdown and in racing? Why do you think Need for Speed Unbound doesn't have an anti-cheat? And do you think they'll ever add an anti-cheat to Need for Speed Unbound? I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new and you enjoy the content. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.